Welcome to episode 1 of the Linux Rambling Podcast. You will not know how many times I have said the Linux Podcast on accident. I think there might be a podcast called the Linux Podcast. I don't really watch podcasts. Probably there's like the Linux Show. I think there's the Linux Show. I don't know. But yeah, it's the Linux Rambling Podcast. And yeah, it's just me rambling about Linux. I'm willing to talk with other people on the podcast, to ramble with them. I don't know, ramble's a weird word. It's fun to say. But, yeah, and I figured to celebrate the first episode, I would talk about some creators that have inspired me to just switch to Linux and just learn about it as an OS and, help me become a free software advocate, I guess. I don't know, it makes it sound a lot more serious than it is. I just like free software, very privacy respecting, and everything else. I mean, there's plenty of videos about that. But anyway, some of the channels that I think really helped me to learn about Linux and get me to switch, in my opinion, for the better was DistroTube was one of the main people, I guess, who showed me stuff about Linux. He makes some pretty good points to his videos. There are some things I don't agree with him on, just like basically everyone. Like, I don't like every one of his videos, or some I'm like, nah, and then some I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good point, I agree with him. But overall, I enjoy his content, and I think he makes pretty good content about Linux, and yeah, I like him as a YouTuber, and I like his content, and they inspired me to learn about free software, Linux, and all this other stuff. Another one is the Linux Experiment. He makes some pretty decent videos. You can go check him out as well. Makes like kind of Linux news videos as well as some other, I guess, miscellaneous videos, just generally to do with Linux. Those are some of the, I guess, ones that convinced me to start just getting into Linux. Another one is Mental Outlaw. He makes some pretty decent videos about Linux, and some ordinary gamers makes good videos in general. They're, a lot of the time they're not about Linux, but they're like, some of them are about Linux, although most of them aren't, but some of them are, just a few. And then there's a lot of them which are just, malware investigation, stuff like that. I find it really interesting, and that helped me just learn about technology as a whole, and he makes really good content, and he's a pretty chill dude. Another one is Sandro Linux, although I haven't watched him in a while. I watched some of his content, and he makes decent content. The only thing that I don't like about him too much is that, I'm trying to think of a way that isn't kind of rude to say this, but his, I guess, I don't know if it's his microphone or his voice, but I have trouble understanding him sometimes. But if you can, like, understand him fine, like, I don't know why that's, I don't know if that's me or what, but, yeah, but his content's pretty, it's pretty reasonable. He's a pretty base dude, and, yeah, it's the main thing I have to say about him. I haven't watched him in a while, though, so I don't know, maybe he's completely changed, but, yeah, I should probably check him out later, but I haven't gotten around to doing it. But those are some of the main channels that inspired me. Another one is the Linux. Wait, I don't know. It's, dang, I already said the Linux experiment. My head's kind of jumbled because I don't usually talk into a microphone like this, or not really even a microphone. I'm just talking into my phone because I don't have a microphone for my PC or anything. I wish I did, because that'd be really useful, because I could be like going through my subscriptions and stuff like that. But no, I'm just recording a video with my phone setting on my bed with yeah, it's just recording nothing because of that, because the camera is on that, and I'm just talking into this. It's a very bad setup, but I mean, it'll work well enough. But if I had a microphone for my PC, I'd probably just talk into that and then just be looking at my subscriptions and stuff like that while I'm sitting here. But I can't do that. So that's where we're at right now. But yeah, anyway, back to the original topic. Another channel that kind of inspired me was Pizza Loving Nerd. Linux is Interesting. It's a very long name. You can probably just search up Pizza Loving Nerd or Linux is Interesting, and it'll show up either way. But he makes some pretty good videos. Decent amount of them are about Pine 64, which is, they make like Linux boards, I guess, kind of, like the Pine Cube and the Pine Phone and the Pine Book and Pine Time, and just like generally like FOSS hardware products, kind of like other companies like System 76 and Tuxedo, I believe, makes laptops as well. And they just kind of, make FOSS software. But I don't think they make software. They make the hardware, and it's very community driven in terms of software and just the direction everything goes in it, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's most of what I had to say, honestly. Just for the first episode. I might upload another episode later today, just because I have some ideas already of the things I'm going to talk about. One is, I figured I would talk about my experience comparing Wayland to Xorg. Just, I like Wayland, but, Xorg, it's a pretty good experience either way, but I figured I'd talk about some of the differences and, what I think can be improved or changed on either of them or something. But that was one of the ideas. Another one was I would just talk about why I think tiling window managers, most people should definitely consider using one. I understand why you would be against considering one, but I figured I might make one where I talk about some of the advantages and just why, because I haven't been using one for long, but like in the short time that I've been using one, they're just way more efficient and less bloated. So I figured I'd talk about them in one of my next episodes. I don't know if it's going to be a day until I make it, like 30 minutes, or 2 days. Anyway, that's all I have to say. So, I'll see you guys later. I'm trying to think of something more I could say to just make it a bit longer, but nothing really comes to mind. I should probably start writing down ideas for things to talk about on this, but anyway, this is all. So I'll see you later, guys. Oh my god, this is cringe.